I have one thing that I want to know
Yeah.
about Brandon Burk, and it's kind of about Brandon Burk. Fred Adams, you were with Shakespeare Festival. Fred Adams is a beloved person in the community. Having worked for Shakespeare, I'm sure you knew Fred personally, right?
Yeah, I was very close with Fred, yeah.
Yeah, so tell me, and you could choose either about your first experience meeting Fred Adams or one of your favorite experiences with Fred Adams. And maybe that's hard to choose, and I'm kind of throwing a curveball at you. But
No. I have so many favorite experiences with Fred. And I think one of the most honored moments in my life was, and this is kind of, sad because it was after his passing, but I was asked to be a pallbearer for his services. And just knowing that people saw me as that much of a part of his life, that I was invited in that way was really
beautiful.
touching. My son, who was about a year old, his name is Frederick. When Fred was a Fred, he wasn't a Frederick. But it's sort
your
of a
son
tip
goes
of the
by
hat.
Freddie. Yeah, little Freddie.
Yeah. And that's a little bit of a tip of the hat to Fred Adams.
I love that. I didn't even know that. I didn't even put that together.
Yeah.
I love that.
But Fred just was, and I know everybody that's ever met Fred feels this way about him. He was your best friend the second you walked into the room, even if you'd never met him before. He was so genuine and he's so easy to connect to, so down to earth. I mean, the guy I'll share a couple quick things. We used to come to the festival, and Fred, who had been running this festival for, since 1962, when they built the new space, you'd come and you'd see him out there like wiping down tables and like planting flowers and
man of the people,
exactly,
not above it. Yeah,
no, he helped make the magic that was the Utah Shakespeare Festival. That is this Utah Shakespeare Festival, and but I think one of my favorite things. So Fred and I had a thing for socks. We both love. Really elaborate
I noticed
socks.
You're always wearing the crazy socks. Yeah.
And so like anytime we'd see each other, pass each other on campus, I'd go, "What are you wearing today, Fred?" And he'd show me his socks and I'd show him mine.
I almost bought you some Elton John socks, by the
cool.
way.
I'll still take them.
Yeah, well, but I'll save that as a gift for later.
All right. Well, there was one
His
time,
favorite singer's Elton John, by the way.
It is.
We need
Sir
to make that
Elton
clear.
John.
Sir Elton John.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Mine's Weezer, and that's a whole nother 12 podcasts, but we'll go into that later.
But I showed up at an opening barbecue one year, and I think it was 2017 maybe, and I saw Fred and said, "What are you wearing today, Fred?" And he showed me his socks, and they were the same as mine.
No.
So we have this photo of the two of us with
Serendipitous.
our legs up on a chair showing our socks. And because we had that connection, I showed up. I was so excited when I got hired full-time at the festival, because the festival was just such a huge part of my life, and I just loved everything about it. And I had a little office my first day of work at the festival full-time, the year that I started in development. I showed up in my office, and there were a pair of socks on my desk.
Oh, that's
Fred.
awesome.
So he just...
That's beautiful. So what socks did you wear as the pallbearer? Did you go bland, or did you wear something?
No, I definitely wore something. That's a good question, though. It might have been flamingos.
That's great.
I know Fred and Scott and Jill Schuler, who just passed away.
Yeah,
used
love
to
Jill.
throw this. Or they still throw this flamingo party every year, and it was a big part of them, right, and their connections. So
That's great.